everyone, good morning. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now with me, Mubina Kapasi. Markets looking pretty okay. Of course, the kind of gains that we saw yesterday, comparatively today, it's a bit limited. Nevertheless, we are in the green, which makes it the fourth straight day of gains for the Lal Street. The Nifty firmly above 11,400. Of course, as you can see on your screens, it has come off the day's high, but I suppose we're not complaining at this point. Gains are very limited. Let's see if there's any sort of traction from the global markets when they open that may perhaps put pressure on the Indian equity markets as well. But for now, so far, okay, no complaints. The mid and small cap index too are, I think, slightly in the green as we speak, or at least the last time I checked. Okay, no, now they've edged into the red. In fact, the mid cap index is absolutely flat as we speak. There's been a sharp slide just in the last couple of minutes, but the small cap index is still managing to hold on to those gains of approximately 0.6%. In terms of sectors, we are seeing pressure coming by in the auto and the metal space yet again. Even the consumption space is a bit weakish, but realty and media are two sectors that are managing to stand out. So that's roughly where the market action really is. Realty, in fact, has been seeing quite a few strong days in the recent couple of weeks. So not bad at all for that sector. But this show is, of course, about talking about those individual stocks and the movers and shakers in trade. We're going to do that in just a bit. First up, let me introduce our technical expert, Gaurav Ratnaparki of Sharekhan. And from our research team, we're joined by Varun and Pranay. Hi, everyone. Morning. And Pranay, let's start off with you first. Bajaj Consumer cannot ignore the move that we've been seeing in the stock yesterday, today as well. And of course, we had that big ET Now exclusive news break that's been confirmed too, Pranay. There seems to be an audio glitch over there. Let me just tell you, remember yesterday that we at ET Now had told you about how Bajaj Resources had actually sold a 22% stake in Bajaj Consumer Care. That's the quantum of the block deal that had taken place yesterday in the last 1 hour of the trading session. And of course, we at ET Now told you that it is indeed the promoters who have sold the stake. And yes, that's now been reported in the bulk and block deal data. Bajaj Resources has sold a 22% stake in Bajaj Consumer. The proceeds will be used for releasing pledged shares and basically in the entire debt reduction process at the group level. So yet another company where the promoter has sold shares to reduce debt on the promoter level. Bajaj Consumer today sharply higher, 15% of a surge seen in this one, and this is stock number one on Market Fatafat. Okay, let's talk about another big mover today and yesterday in trade, and that's BPCL. Continues to go higher now, in fact, firmly above the 500 rupee mark as well, 510 as well. The stock has been rallying on the buzz of Saudi Aramco picking up a stake in the company. Remember, we at ET Now had reported on that news first on the 14th of October itself. And now, of course, we are seeing that this buzz has certainly picked up a lot of steam. This news has picked up a lot of steam, and remember that the government as well wants to hold road shows abroad too, in the Middle East, in the US, to sort of garner foreign investor interest in BPCL so that they can in turn sell off their stake to meet that divestment target. And Saudi Aramco, of course, seems to be an interested party in BPCL. Gaurav, let's talk about another sector that's losing. Like I said, the auto space. In the backseat today, Eicher Motors top Nifty loser. What's your view here?
The auto index basically is seeing good amount of traction since last couple of sessions. The index form a base near its crucial daily moving averages, and from there it is moving higher. And similar is the case with Eicher Motors. The stock form an inside bar near its crucial daily moving averages, and as a follow through the stock is moving higher. Though it is down today, I think it can continue to stretch higher. An initial target area on the higher side will be 19,500, 19,565. And once that gets taken out, the stock can even head towards its weekly upper Bollinger Band, which is placed near 20,560. So that will be the short-term target to watch out for.
All right, that's Gaurav's recommendation. He's bullish on the stock. Varun, Canfin Homes and Canara Bank, both of these are going to be in focus on the entire stake sale news.
Yes, Mabina. So, Canara is looking to offload their stake in Canfin Homes. Now, this ties in with the theme of value unlocking in PSBs and PSBs' need for capital. Now, Canara's CET ratio stands just above 8%, so it's above the regulatory 7.3, but just barely so. So they need to raise money. Canfin is one of the better housing finance companies. 5,000 crore market cap, so 30% divestment would mean 1,500 crores potentially coming into Canara Bank. So it's not closed yet. Bearing PE seems to be leading the race. Other PE players have dropped out because Warburg is now bought into another housing finance company. So the competitive intensity on this deal is less, but nonetheless it should go through pretty soon. So I'm pretty sure we'll hear something in the coming weeks and we'll be looking out for that one.
Yeah, that we will. Canfin Homes, by the way, is higher by a little over 1%. And Pranay, yesterday we had Wipro's numbers. I think they seem to be pretty okay. What's the brokerage recommendation?
Well, Mubina, when it comes to the brokerages, they've actually trimmed their estimates by about 2 to 3% on average because the growth has been rather subdued for the first half of this year. While they did surprise positively on the margins, and that is something which has stopped brokerages cutting their estimates from 5% plus, they believe that from here the margin recovery will be the most important thing for no further revision in their estimates. On growth, the underperformance will continue. Most of them are penciling between 3.5% to 4% kind of growth for the year, and the kind of run-up that you had seen in the stock earlier has been coming off because now the buyback is gone. There is no immediate trigger or catalyst. Yes, for Q3 they have a decent outlook, and which is why they are still keeping a target price of about 240.50. But there is no change in the stance. There is no upward revision in the estimates. There is no catalyst or trigger. Nonetheless, since it did not disappoint this time on the results, it's up about 2% right now.
Okay. That's an analysis on Wipro's share price on its second quarter numbers as well. Let's talk about another stock that's really buzzing in trade, and that's Inox Wind. In fact, the shares have surged 18% as we speak. This after the company announced that it has signed that additional deal with Adani Green Energy. This is for the sale of a 50 megawatt wind power project in Kutch in the state of Gujarat, in which it's Adani which will be the strategic investor. Now, the project is part of the capacity won under the SECI bids for wind power projects, and it's connected on the central grid. They have one of the highest swept areas as well, ideally suited to maximize returns in low wind areas. Now remember, this is not the only deal. Inox has already signed and commissioned 166 megawatts of wind projects for Adani, and this is a new deal signed by Adani. So that's of course something that Inox Wind has announced, and very, very sharp stock reaction witnessed after this announcement. Gaurav, Cipla seems to be trading weak, not just today, but for the last few sessions. Anything that you're observing or recommend as a trade here?
Actually, Nifty Pharma Index as such witnessed sharp reversal in the last week near the 7100 mark, and it is now heading towards its crucial daily moving averages. So I think Cipla can also pick up momentum on the upside. However, from near-term perspective, it has entered a consolidation phase, and the consolidation can unfold in the range of 435 to 450. Nevertheless, from trading perspective, buy on dips will be the strategy for Cipla, and one can initiate a fresh long position on dips near 435 with stop loss placed at 423, and on the higher side, short-term targets are placed at 455 and 468.
All right, there you have it. That is the recommendation then on a Cipla for you. And Varun, another company that has M&A activity, that is Bandhan and Gruh. What exactly is the latest news over there?
So the ex-date for the amalgamation for Bandhan and Gruh is today. So effectively from today onwards, you want to view both those companies as a joint entity. And I just want to flag off that both have been performing so well. The MSCI index has decided to include them, which will see increased flows. Bandhan Bank's market cap is now a whopping, 67,000 crores, and Gruh is around 22,000. So once you bring these two together, they definitely create a mammoth in the banking environment and one of the largest banks. We've seen what's happened to Yes, RBL, a lot of other banks have crumbled. So Bandhan really cementing its position here. is a tremendous feat. And we also know that yesterday on the social and CSR side, one of their projects has Abhijit Banerjee being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. So not that impacts the stock price, but it's just an interesting angle to also consider with Bandhan.
Okay, that's Bandhan Bank, and the stock certainly is tanking. It's more than 5% down today in trade. Pranay, MCX second quarter numbers, how are they, and what does Morgan Stanley have to say?
It was expected to be a good quarter, but they managed to beat those estimates by another 5-7%. Thanks to higher average daily turnover, which came in on the back of increased volatility and also higher contract prices, both in bullion as well as energy. And therefore, you have brokerages like Morgan Stanley maintaining their overweight stance, and the target also has been bumped up to about 1366 from the earlier 1260. So their EPS estimates have been increased by 14% for the year, and they believe that higher fee realization, lower costs will drive strong profit growth over the next 3 years. In fact, they see the stock doubling over the next 3 years. So pretty strong conviction in the counter.
Yeah, and $1,000 and counting for an MCX in trade. HAL, meantime, is not doing that well. It has some problems on the labourer front. Remember that since the 14th of October, workers have gone on strike, on pre-planned strike. This is on account of wage negotiations. But in the latest round of negotiations, it doesn't look like there was anything positive, that was sort of decided on, because the strike is expected to continue. Both sides of the parties refuse to budge on wage revision. Unions have sort of wage revision on par with what is given to the executive, which is a 35% hike in gross salary and 110 to 140 percentage hike in perks. And remember, over 19,000 employees have gone on strike. It's the second day that the strike has continued, third in fact today. This is thus grounding HAL's operations at all its locations across the country. So definitely not spelling very good news today in trade. Let's look at the RWI small case and see what that one's up to. Any movement seen over there, anything substantial, because the rest of the market seems to be pretty okay. Very tiny gains being witnessed. The Nifty as well is just at 11,450. Okay, 547 for RWI small case. In fact, it's in the red, marginally in the red, 0.25% down. Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET. Now let's continue with the countdown. And Gaurav, Zee Entertainment, it's another day of decent gains being witnessed in this stock. Anything that you're observing here?
Yes, Zee Entertainment was a significantly beaten down counter. However, from the beginning of October, the stock is witnessing significant recovery. The level of 200, which was close to a 78.6% retracement of the previous multi-year rally, acted as a strong support for the counter, and from there the stock is moving higher. The recent picture shows that the stock has formed a pop-gun pattern on the daily chart, which is a combination of an inside bar and an outside bar, and as a follow-through the stock is moving up today. So I think the positional traders can buy the stock even at current level, and the stop loss can be placed at 248, and on the higher side target area will be 297,300.
All right, 297, and that's the target that Gaurav has for Zee. Varun, today all the life insurance companies are doing well. NIA, GIC, SBI Life, of course, the numbers. So how are the numbers over there?
Right, Mabina. So insurance stocks are in focus today. They seem to be doing well. Now, the SBI Life numbers specifically were really good. The growth momentum continues, fueled by a change in product mix. AUM also saw good growth, and value of the new business increased 24% YOY. And the embedded value also grew 10%, around 24,000 crores. So the ratios all remain robust. Now, there was some skepticism which we discussed yesterday about insurance scores being highly valued, and they have appreciated as much as 50% over the last year, whereas many other financials have degraded. So APE growth has indicated a slowdown. So with that slowdown in focus, insurance valuations could have been hit. But this SBI result is really positive. Although profit came down 50% due to provisions, growth has been consistent. So I think that that's a good early indicator. Now the following week and months will have a lot more results, so we'll keep an eye out for that. And SBI Life today, I think it's trading up around 3-4%, if I'm not mistaken.
4% higher today in trade. Let's talk about another result reaction. That's Karnataka Bank. A net profit of 106 crore rupees in the second quarter of FY20. That's a decline of 5.3% on a year-on-year basis. The MD and CEO said the decline in the profit for the quarter was mainly on account of increased provisioning. There was an increase of 16% in the operating profit, though. That was reasonably good, but there was focus on provisioning, as is clearly seen, increased from 168 crores to 290 crores in the second quarter. The provision coverage ratio as well on the back of that then increased to 59.19%. Karnataka Bank is lower in trade by 2%. In Gaurav, today, realty once again in focus. It's among the top sectoral gainers. DLF has been seeing some increased traction recently. Anything that you would recommend as a trade here?
Yeah, DLF since last few sessions is witnessing a pullback. I think that is a counter trend pullback, and the larger trend continues to be on the downside. In terms of wave structure, it was a three-wave pullback, which can be labeled as an ABC, and the last leg of the pullback, that is wave C, is near its completion. Even the stock has reached its crucial daily moving averages. So I think this is a good level for the stock to start the next leg on the downside. I think the stock is unlikely to surpass the level of 165 on the higher side, whereas it has a potential to tumble back towards its daily lower Bollinger Band, which is currently placed near 140.
Okay, but with that, we are completely out of time, so we'll have to wrap it up. Gaurav, Pranay and Varun, thank you for joining us on Market Fatafat. We'll be back with another edition at 1:30 p.m.